Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Caitlin and today I'm going to be doing a review of the MyFlex program by Jen from Cirque Physio. I started training with this program at the beginning of April, so it's been a few months now, but when I first got the program, when I first started with it, I realized that there weren't that many actual proper in-depth reviews on the program. There's lots of testimonials and there's lots of progress before and after pictures that people have put on Instagram and Facebook and other places, but there's no real long breakdown of exactly what the program is and what you're getting. So I thought today that is exactly what I will do, and I'll be going through the program kind of step by step, everything that you get, as well as some of my advice, my tips and tricks for how to get the most out of the program, and my overall thoughts and opinion on it. A bit about me: I am a pole dancer. I've been pole dancing for 6 years, since 2014, and I've been training my flexibility for about the same amount of time. I go through periods where I train more intensely with my flexibility and less intensely with my flexibility, just depending on the situation and the time of year. I am a competitive pole dancer, so usually when I'm training for a competition, I kind of ramp up my flexibility training a bit, and then when there's no competitions going on, it kind of decreases a bit. At the moment, because of the coronavirus and because of the lockdown that is happening at the moment, I haven't been able to train at my studio, and I've had a bit of free time on my hands, so this was kind of the perfect opportunity for me to start with this MyFlex program and really try and work on my flexibility, improving it during my off season. Okay, so about the program. Like I said, this program is by Jen from Cirque Physio. I will leave the links to her Instagram and the website for the program down in the description below, so that you can go see all the information there as well. The program is only open for enrollment during certain times of the year, so there'll be periods where she opens the program for enrollment. You can purchase the program and sign up for it then, and there's only a limited number of spaces. This is a customized flexibility program, so you submit an assessment, and based on that assessment, the team at Cirque Physio and MyFlex reviews it, and they send you back your program that's customized to you and your flexibility needs. So that is the reason why it's only open during certain times of the year, and why only a limited number of people are accepted at any one time, so that they can customize these programs for the individual. Okay, so how the program actually works is you purchase it, you sign up, and you will get sent an email with a username and password for the MyFlex website. You can then go and log on to the MyFlex website, and the first thing that you will see are some videos with some kind of basic information about flexibility and stretch training, and a little information on terminology. It's all very useful and very informative stuff. Then you go into the assessment. So the assessment is there so that you can kind of submit your own measurements, your own details about your flexibility, and that your program can be built around that and based around that. So it's quite important to get the assessment right and do it properly. The assessment is split into 4 different sections. Those 4 sections are hip extension, pike, straddle, and upper back and shoulders. And under each of those sections, there's different tests that you need to complete and then submit your results for. Within each of those sections as well, there's more informational videos, so detailing a little bit about the anatomy and biomechanics of each of those different areas of the body, what you should be feeling when you're trying to stretch those areas, and a lot of other really interesting information just about flexibility training in those areas in specific. There's also instructional videos on how to actually complete the assessment, so it shows you how to actually set up and how to perform the measurements, as well as written instructions for how to perform the measurements and how to set up the tests. The tests, you fill in the results of them, your angles that you get, the measurements that you get as you go through. There's a little blocks in a form basically that you can type in your values into, and then it will all get collected at the end. The last step of the assessment is to submit your photos. This is photos of your wheel, your forward splits on your right and your left side, as well as your pancake or straddle stretch and your middle splits stretch. Then once you submit all that information, the MyFlex team has everything that they need in order to build you your customized program. It takes about a week, and a week later you get an email saying that your program is ready. And then when you log onto the website again, you can go to the My Profile section, and there will be a whole lot of new sections that you can now see now that you have your program. The two most important sections are the follow-along videos and the instructional videos. The instructional videos are a very detailed breakdown of each exercise and how to perform it, as well as any progressions and regressions that you might need in order to make the exercises easier or harder, depending on your level. Then the follow-along videos are similar to the instructional videos. It'll be the same exercises as in your instructional videos, but these will not be as detailed an explanation, and these will show the exact number of reps for the exercises and the exact amount of time for the stretches that you need to hold it for. And you can literally put these videos on and then follow along with them and complete your program with these videos running. Like the assessment, the program itself is split into 4 different modules. So you have your pike, hip extension, straddle, and then upper back and shoulders. And you can complete each of those modules individually, or you can combine modules together if you want to do a longer session. In addition to the 4 different modules that you have, you also have a warm-up and a cool-down. So the warm-up and the cool-down are about like 10 to 15 minutes, depending on if you're going along with a follow-along video or if you're trying to do it yourself. And that kind of warm-up is enough to warm you up to be able to start the program, and then the cool-down cools you down at the end. Then you also get your report section, and this report section basically just goes over your assessment and gives you feedback on the results of the different tests and values that you submitted. You also have an FAQ section, and that FAQ section is just answering some basic questions about the program. There is also a progress tracking section where you can upload photos of different flexibility elements, so like your wheel, your splits. And finally, there's also a Facebook community group that you can request to join once you are a member, a MyFlex member, and you have your username and password. And this group is mostly just about sharing progress photos and updating other members of the community on your progress and how you're finding the program. But there's also some interesting questions that get asked on the groups. I've seen people submitting videos of them doing a particular exercise, asking for feedback from other members on whether they think they're doing it right or not, and things like that. And it's really just like a community of like-minded people who are all trying to improve their flexibility. And that is all you get for the initial price that you pay for the program. You can also reassess. There is an option to resubmit the assessment and get an updated program, but this does cost $19, so you do have to pay that extra fee in order to get that updated program. So in terms of how I use the program and how I fit it into my normal training schedule, I have not been keeping up with my normal training schedule because of the quarantine and because of the coronavirus, but I still do train pole approximately 3 times a week. I do handstand training every day, and I do a bit of mobility work every day. So those are the 3 things that I kind of have been doing. But the only real flexibility training that I've been doing since I got the MyFlex program is this MyFlex program. So I train with the MyFlex program 6 days a week. On a Monday, I will do shoulders. On a Tuesday, I will do straddle. On a Wednesday, I will do hip extension and pike. On a Thursday, I will do hip extension and upper back and shoulders. On a Friday, I will do straddle. And then on a Saturday, I will do hip extension, pike, and upper back and shoulders. So 3 modules on a Saturday. This is the schedule that I've kind of been going with for the past few weeks now. It took me a while to get into this schedule and figure out what worked best for me and how to fit it in with the rest of my regular training. But this is kind of what I aim for every week. I don't always complete all of the sessions every week. Sometimes I cut a session short if I'm short on time. Sometimes I add in extra modules if I do have extra time, but generally this is the basic schedule, the basic plan that I follow. In terms of how long it takes, the hip extension and pike modules each take me about 25 minutes to complete, but that does depend on the day. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer, sometimes it takes a little bit shorter. The straddle module is the quickest module for me. That takes about 20 minutes, sometimes just under 20 minutes. And then the upper back and shoulders module is the longest module for me, and that takes about 45 minutes in total. So the days where I'm combining the upper back and shoulders module with another module, so with the hip extension module or with hip extension and pike, those days I am training for quite a long time. So combining the modules like that doesn't really work if you don't have the time to commit to it. So you do need to have quite a bit of time available, especially if you are wanting to combine the modules together. So like I said, I've been doing this program for almost 4 months now, and I actually have seen quite a lot of progress in this time period. The one stretch that I've seen the most progress in has been in my middle splits. I've improved in my middle splits so much since I started with the program. I'm down definitely a couple of centimeters at least in my middle splits, and I also feel a lot more comfortable and happy when I'm in my middle splits. My other stretches, so my wheel and my splits, have not improved quite as much as my middle splits, but I definitely think there is some improvement there. But the real improvement that I've seen is not necessarily in the way that the stretches look, but more so in the way that they feel. I can feel that I'm engaging my muscles and engaging the correct muscles a lot more than I was before I started this program. I also feel like my technique has improved a lot, so I'm actually performing the exercises and the stretches with the correct technique. My stability has improved a huge amount, and I'm a lot more stable in a lot of these stretches, and I can feel that my muscles are really working and really engaging and holding me in the position of the stretch, rather than just me kind of using gravity to get into the stretch. And with that, my active flexibility has improved quite a lot. Going forward, I'm definitely going to be continuing with the MyFlex program for now while my studio is closed and while I can't attend stretch classes there. But beyond that, I'm not sure how much of it I will incorporate into my future training. I know I will definitely carry on with the straddle module as it is and use that for training my middle splits. Middle splits has always been my least favorite thing to train, but with the straddle module, I've found it's become a lot more enjoyable, and I'm really motivated by the amount of progress that I've seen, so I definitely will continue with that. But before I started with the MyFlex, I was pretty confident in my back and my splits training, so I'm not sure how much of the modules I will incorporate into my training going forward. I think I will take maybe some of the exercises and put that into my own training program, and I definitely will be using a lot of the principles and a lot of kind of the tips and the technique that I've learned from doing this MyFlex program. So even though I won't necessarily be continuing with the program as it's kind of set out on the website and in the follow along program, I definitely will be using what I've learned from it going forward. So what I really like about this program is the fact that it's very, very informative and has a lot of information. And I feel like this is information that you won't just use for this program, but it's information that even if you stop doing this program, you'll still be able to use the principles and the tips and the techniques in whatever flexibility training that you do in the future. So that I find really, really beneficial. And I like that it's not just these are the exercises with no explanation of why you're doing those exercises and what is the science behind it and the explanation and reasoning behind it. I really like that it includes all that explanation and information so that you can really incorporate this, like these ideas and this program, not necessarily as a complete program, but in terms of the reasoning behind it into your future training. I also really like that it focuses on stability and active flexibility and not just passive flexibility. I feel like a lot of people, when they do start stretch training, especially if they're not well researched on it and not well informed on flexibility training, just want to try get the deepest stretch possible and do a lot of passive stretching, where especially if you are in a discipline like pole or aerial arts or circus or anything like that, you really do need a lot of active flexibility to make things look good when you are performing. So I really appreciate that this does focus on that active flexibility, and then the stability of, she's really focused on making sure that you don't get injured from the flexibility training that you're doing. So making sure that all of your muscles are stable and strong enough to support you in whatever flexibility work you are trying to do. So I think those are two really good points that I love about the program. So this might not be for everyone, but I really like the consistency and the repetitiveness of the program. Once you submit your assessment and you get that program stays the same until you do the reassessment. So some people might get bored with this, but I actually really enjoy it because I find that I can really see the improvement week to week. Because I'm doing the same exercises and the same stretches every single week, it really feels like I can track my progress and see where I'm improving, and I can more clearly track the improvement that I'm seeing over time. So my tips for this program, if anyone out there is wanting to get this program and starting it for the first time, definitely watch all the informational videos before you try start with the assessment. So there's the informational videos that you first see when you log into the website, and then there's informational videos under each individual module. Watch all of them, even the ones within the module, before you actually go and warm up for your assessment, because that will save you a whole lot of time when you actually go to do the assessment. So you're not having to stop after every test and watch the videos and see what you need to be doing and understand all of the biomechanics and anatomy and what sensations that you should be feeling. You'll have all that information already, you'll have already watched the videos, and then you can just get through each of the tests super quickly and submit your assessment. When I first did my assessment, I did not do this. I watched the videos as I was doing the assessment, and it took me literally 3 days to get through all of the assessments. So definitely when I do my reassessment, I'm not going to make the same mistake. I'll probably re-watch the videos when I do my reassessment, but I'll watch them all beforehand and then go and do the assessment. I would also recommend, and what I've done is go through the videos without actually doing the exercises. So go through your instructional videos first, go through your follow along videos without actually trying to follow along, and then only do the videos for do the exercises with the video for the first time. And then once you've done a couple of times with the follow along videos, so like 2 or 3 times with each module, I would recommend going back and watching the instructional videos again, watching the follow along videos again, and writing down all of the exercises in the order with the number of reps that you need to do. Once you've done this, once you watch the instructional videos once or twice, once you watch the follow along videos a couple of times, you should have a really good understanding of what you need to be doing for each exercise and how each exercise works, and you won't necessarily need to use the follow along videos every single time. And then if you've written down the exercises, you can just follow your written notes, and this should save you quite a bit of time, because in the follow along videos there is a little bit of setup. There's the time delay when it goes from one exercise to the next, the setup for each exercise. So if you know what you are doing and you know which exercise comes after the next, you can kind of just get through it and save yourself a little bit of time, which is especially useful if you're wanting to combine modules and get through 2 or 3 modules in a row. By now, after almost 4 months of doing the program, I have almost all of the modules memorized, so I don't even have to look at my notes anymore. I just know what exercise is coming up next, but it does take a while to get to that point where you know everything off by heart, and then it's still useful to have the notes written down so you can refer and make sure you're not skipping anything if you're trying to do it by pure memory. Another thing I would recommend is definitely write down your measurements from your initial assessment and don't just put them straight into the form, because although you get your report breaking it down, that report doesn't necessarily tell you what the actual measurements that you submitted were. So I did not do this when I first did my assessment. So now when I do my reassessment, I'm not going to be able to compare my measurements that I'm getting with the reassessment to the actual measurements that I submitted at first, because I don't have that record of what those initial measurements were. I just have the breakdown of the measurements in the report. I feel like writing down these measurements will be really helpful, so you can decide if you want to submit a reassessment or not. You can check how much progress you've made without having to submit that reassessment, and then decide based on your comparison of your values whether or not it's worth it for you to submit the reassessment and whether or not you feel like you need a whole update to your program. Then my final tip is something that has really helped me when I figured it out, is that you can split the back and shoulders module into 2 different sections if you don't necessarily do the final wheel pose at the end. So this is what I do, and this is why on a Monday I only do shoulders. I don't do upper back and shoulders. I stop the module about halfway through on a Monday, so I just focus on the shoulder exercises. It's kind of already split, and if you have the program you'll kind of notice this and you'll see it, but it starts off with all the shoulder exercises and then it moves on to all of the back exercises. So I just stop on a Monday after the shoulder exercise, after the last shoulder exercise, and that way I don't have to spend the full 45 minutes on it, but I still get to stretch and work my upper body, my shoulders, when I don't have as much time. My recommendation is, if you are someone who really wants to inform their future flexibility training and really wants to get that information that they can build on going forward, I would think that this program would be great for you. Also, if you're someone who likes that consistency, routine, doesn't want to have to think about coming up with their own program, this is definitely a great one for that. There are definitely some things about this program that won't be for everyone and won't necessarily be everyone's cup of tea, but in terms of my experience, I've really enjoyed my time with the MyFlex program, and I've really felt like it's been beneficial to me and that I've learned so much from doing this MyFlex training for the past 4 months. Thank you so much for watching this video. I will leave the link to the MyFlex website as well as the link to Cirque Physio's Instagram down below, where you can get more information if you're interested in signing up for the program. Unfortunately, it's not open for enrollment at the moment, but if you follow Cirque Physio on Instagram, she always announces when the next enrollment period is going to be opening. I have not done my reassessment yet, but I am planning on doing my reassessment fairly soon. So if you'd like to see a video on the reassessment and how much your program changes and whether it's worth it or not, please let me know in the comments down below, and I can definitely think about doing that video in the future. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like below and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more videos like this in the future. And my social media links will be down below. You can find me on Instagram. I post pretty often about my flexibility and my pole training there, so you might want to give that a follow. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!